82. Go.
Okay, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. بعد. We express our praise and gratitude to Allah Ta'ala, and we seek blessings on the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So first we had wrong things people do in relationship with Scripture. Next, wrong things people do in relationship with their oaths. So Ayah 83, which we've looked at before.
Wait, 81 through 84?
80. I'm sorry, I left out one important part of. Good thing you asked that.
Thank you.
At 81, I raised a question. What do you make of this ayah where it says you've done evil and your sin surrounds you? These are the rightful owners of hell. Think of when someone commits a sin. Think of the consequence or the benefit that they get from sin. Okay. Now think of the case. Suppose I lie on my resume. Okay. And then I earn from it. Okay. And then I buy a house from it. Right? And literally, I've done wrong, and now the effect of my sin is surrounding me. Okay. So these people are rightful owners of the fire.
Does that count as like haram money?
You can make the argument that it's haram money. Yeah. Meaning, I'm always hesitant to call anything haram, but you can make that argument. Yeah. Nevertheless, Allah Ta'ala always seems to give a pathway of hope. Okay. Ayah 82. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Those who believe and do right, they are rightful owners of the garden. They will live therein. Again, خَالِدُونَ, without end. So, on the one hand, you can look at those who earn sin and it surrounds them, they're going to hell. On the other hand, those who do good and right action, belief, they will go to Jannah. So, that you can look at just opposites. You can also look at Ayah 82 as being a statement of hope. Even if you're in a condition where you're so deep in your sin that you're buried in it, what should you do? Keep doing good. Inshallah, Allah Ta'ala will give you a way out. Right? Just like we said about the person with the hardened heart, even if your heart is hard as a rock, there's still hope. Even if you're doing, a'udhu billah, all 5 of these wrong things, okay, and you've lived a life this way, don't give up hope, keep doing good. Doesn't mean it's okay to do those things, right? But keep doing good.
Which ayah references that?
Ayah 82?
82.
Those who believe and do good, they are rightful owners of the garden.
But how does that ayah give you hope?
So the point is, what else is the point of mentioning this ayah?
Oh, that's the point of mentioning the ayah.
So the next section, Ayah 83, I think it goes to 87 or so. Wrong things people do regarding their oaths. Now, even before getting to oaths, think of how serious an oath is. That in our culture, we don't really give it as much seriousness. At the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that was like your whole reputation. Oh, your oath. And Hamza Yusuf, in one of his lectures, he talks about how Herodotus, in his History of the World, mentions the Arabs in a paragraph, and the one thing he mentions about them is that they're very, very militant about keeping their oaths. The closest thing I think we have in our society today is, it's going to sound funny, but like your credit rating, right? That tells you how honest you are in your transactions, right? We don't have as much focus. Yeah, it's corny, but that's what I think.
No, it's true.
Do we have anything else? Yeah. Sorry?
Is that the same thing as like a promise?
So it would include a promise,
Well,
but it
credit,
would be
credit
a promise.
rating, yeah. Credit rating for governments, for individuals, credit rating, yeah, absolutely.
Contract.
Contract.
Yeah, it's a commitment contract that, you're going to keep a secret, you're going to do something, right? It's like you're giving your word.
Contract.
Yeah. Contract.
But what's interesting about like Western law and credit ratings is that it's based not so much on, it's based on your ability to keep the promise, not on your patterns.
That's right.
It's like, can you keep it or do you have to break it? Almost.
Yeah, I think that's an important point,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. That it goes down if you break it, but
Yes.
your ability to keep it is going to relate to your financial
You're
situation,
like-
all those things. Yeah.
Your likelihood to break it
Yeah.
goes up. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Interesting point.
Yeah.
Why do you think we don't have very much focus otherwise on oaths in our culture? It's another thing that I reflect over. You know, we just don't have that much. I think this is something related to just our contemporary times. I think there was a time in our recent history of the society where there was a focus on keeping your word.
I think it's also the fact that, you know, in the Quran, and we were reading about it, about contract law. You know, when you take an oath, you also write it down.
Yeah,
I mean, everything is documented and written now. So the word-to-word oath isn't as important because you just write down everything.
Yeah,
Right?
that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? You can just verify something. Then there's a question of fraud and all those things. But still, let's say something.
I think this is the degradation of the society.
That's another thought I had. Maybe it's just everything that we've gotten so used to moral mediocrity.
Yeah.
It's true.
The old saying, a man is as good as his word.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not, you don't see that much.
That's something I really try to get on my case with my daughters. Is not get on my case, get on my daughter's case.
Get
You know,
on my
you have to
case.
keep your word.
Yeah, it's really critical. Absolutely.
So they make a pact with Allah Ta'ala. Bani Israel makes a pact with Allah Ta'ala. We've looked at this pact before. And there's about 5 or 6 terms to the pact. Number 1, worship no one except for Allah. La ta'buduna illallah. Wa bil walidaini ihsanan. And to your 2 parents, be good. Wa dhil qurba. And be good to your relatives, the people who are near you. Wal yatama. Wal masakin. And to the orphans. And to the miskins, the needy. And speak well to all of humanity.
Yeah, we have a painting
Our main,
of
our
that in
main
our living room.
artwork in our main living room is Bukulu lin-Nas.
Oh, really? Okay,
That's
mashallah.
nice.
Very cool. Okay. And then wa aqimu salah wa atu zakah. Okay. Sorry? Now here's something interesting. The first term of their oath makes sense, right? Just like I've been asking, does it make sense that this is the first command, this is the second command? The first term of their oath, do not worship anyone except for Allah. That makes sense, right? But then, it's be good to everybody. Be good to your parents, be good to relatives, be good to orphans, be good to needy. Speak well to everyone. And then establish salah, give zakah. So before salah and zakah, what do we have? Good character, good character, good character, good character. Morals, yeah.
And it's like, it goes from like just all sorts of law to like bigger,
Wider, yeah.
wider expanse and like,
Prophet ﷺ was sent to perfect behavior.
Good character, yeah. But then it says, ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Then you turned away except for a few of you. مِنْكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ مَعْرِضُونَ. You just had that desire to be away. You are averse. So this is a pact that Bani Israel made. And then Ayah 84, here Allah Ta'ala is speaking to them again, but in the context of speaking to us. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ. And when we took a pact with you, saying what? Do not shed the blood of your own people. Do not drive your own people out of their own land, out of their own homes. Diyarikum. And you confirmed this, and you even bore witness to this. Okay? So here, they made these pacts with Allah, and they even bore witness. Like, yes, we are absolutely going to commit to this. Then Ayah 85 is, again, one of the, for me, scariest ayahs in the whole Quran, the middle of it. There's a few ayahs in the Quran that scare me more than all the others. This is one of them. But I'll explain why. But you are the ones who slay each other, and you drive a part of your people out of their homes. Okay? Supporting one another against them by sin and transgression. But if they came to you as captives, you would ransom them off, even though expelling them was unlawful. So here's what's going on. You have these tribes, these Jewish tribes in Medina, okay, who start getting into fights with each other. Okay. They're not supposed to be shedding each other's blood. Then they start making alliances against each other. And they start driving people out. But then the people who are driven out coming back to them, can you ransom us off? And then they say, well, yeah, that's the law, we have to follow it. Okay. But the only reason they're being ransomed off is because they're the ones who drove them out. Okay. And this is something about the nature of our behavior, the way we contradict ourselves. See what's going on? They weren't supposed to be driving people out, yet they were doing that in whatever their petty fighting is. And those people are now they're saying, oh, we have to ransom them off, we can't, it's the law to ransom, when your people are coming to you. So they're following some of the law, they're not following some of the law. And so the next sentence says, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْدِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْدِ. Do you believe in part of the scripture and reject part of the scripture? And that line scares me. As, again, each and every one of us look at your practice. Look at the things you practice, and look at the things you don't practice. Okay. Of the things you don't practice, look at the things that you consistently don't practice. Is it effectively the same thing here? In practice or in belief? No, I believe in everything, I'm supposed to do this, I'm just weak in all these things. But if I don't have the sense of urgency to fix this, I think we talked about this in the other class this morning. If I don't have the sense of urgency to fix this, am I potentially, in practice, rejecting these things? Right? Think of those things that, okay, for the last 5 years, I know I'm supposed to do this, and I just don't do this. I'll get to it. Right? Or I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I keep doing it. Yeah, I'll get to it. Is that the question being raised? Because Allah Ta'ala is not saying you're doing kufr. Right? He's raising the question. Is the reality that you believe in some eyes and you reject some of the eyes? By looking at your actions.
Can you give an example of something?
So let's say, a common example. Let's say I'm supposed to pray, and I know I'm supposed to pray, but I just don't pray. And I know I should, and 5 years go by, and I haven't changed anything. 10 years go by, I haven't changed anything. So looking at my practice, I'm effectively, potentially saying, it's not that important. Right?
I feel like if you...
Or let's say waking up for Fajr, right?
Like, what would change, let's say, if the doctors came to you and said, you're going to die tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
What would change in your life?
Uh-huh.
What would you do to say, oh my God, I have 24 hours to live.
Sure.
What am I going to do? And so
You'll be like,
the
well,
question is...
5 years of Fajr, I guess that's out the window. No.
Yeah, no, but like, would you say, okay, I would at least get my 5 prayers in today? And, like, what would you
At
change
least
about your
the
life?
last day of my life, let's make it good. Yeah.
Yeah, like, what would you change about your life to make that last day try to say, okay, at least I did this,
Huh?
and, if you come up with whatever things, why not try to incorporate those
It
practices?
doesn't happen that way in reality.
It
Yeah.
doesn't.
When people are told you got a month to live, most people just stick to their...
Yeah, for the first day, they'll probably be good, and then, I just go back.
Well, because no one ever knows.
You don't, but I'm saying,
There is-
like,
there
let's
is
say...
that plausible
Yeah, I'm
deniability.
praying from now until 1 month.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
you.
People don't
That's
act
you.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like we saw about people when they see miracles. We would think that they become pious, but no.
They start saying, why is God doing this to me?
Yeah, all these other things. But yeah, right. So the key point is that Allah Ta'ala is not saying you believe in something, you're rejecting something, but He's raising that question. Is that effectively what I'm doing? When I look at those things that I know I'm not supposed to do, but I just keep doing, and I'm not doing anything about it. That's the key part, right? It's one thing if I keep trying and I fail, and I keep trying and I fail, and I keep trying, that's one thing, right? What if I'm not even trying? Or those things that I'm not supposed to do that I keep doing. Because then the eye gets scarier. If it is that I'm rejecting, the reward of, what is the reward? And it's asking in a question form, it's scary. What is the reward of those who do this, except for disgrace in this world, and on the day of judgment, they will have the worst doom. Ashaddul adhab min Allah. So ashad is like extreme, adhab min Allah, from Allah. Bighafilin amma ta'malun. Allah Ta'ala is not, He's not in ghafla, He's not in heedlessness or unaware of what you're doing. Okay. So periodically in these ayahs, it's this direct, very, very blunt question. Evaluate the choices that you're making.
So I mean, is the context of it that
The context is
asking
the oaths, the commitments they made.
the oath, and it's
Yeah.
like then they're just picking and choosing to benefit themselves the way they see it.
Yeah. The explanation, the core reason comes in the next item. Why would people do this? These are people who bought the life of this world at the price of the hereafter. And the punishment will not be light, nor will they have support. If I'm attached to dunya, then when it comes to deen, I'm going to be picking and choosing. So it's basically, where am I anchored? If I'm anchored in deen, then I'm going to be picking and choosing from dunya, as it fits me in deen. If I've anchored myself in dunya, then I'm going to be picking and choosing from deen, as it fits me in dunya. Right. Okay, if I anchor myself, like where is my heart? If it's anchored in deen, then how I take dunya, I'm going to pick and choose, as it fits in my life.
Oh, good.
And
Right.
it fits into the deen.
Yeah.
Like the deen goals.
Exactly. And if I'm
Oh, you're gonna
anchored,
pick and choose dunya.
I'm going to pick and
Yeah.
choose
Okay.
dunya.
Yeah, you're gonna ration the dunya based on
Right.
your
Yeah.
higher
Okay.
aspirations.
And then if I anchor myself in dunya, then I'm going to pick and choose from deen, as it fits me in terms of my goals. Good.
Oh, that's deep, man.
So essentially, in dunya, you're making a lot of sacrifices.
It's like, yeah, I'm deep.
Of, no,
I'm
like
sorry.
in this life, you're making a lot. If you choose deen,
Ah.
you're making a lot of sacrifices in dunya and facing a lot of those hardships
Mhm.
for something better later on.
Sure. And you wouldn't see it as sacrifice, right? You'd see it at least as investment.
Yeah.
Right.
Sacrifice, you give them something else.
That's true.
So, another way to explain why this is happening, why are they picking and choosing? Because what are all the oaths? Don't obey anyone except for Allah, be good to parents, relatives, orphans, needy, speak well to everyone, establish salah, give zakah, don't drive your people out, don't shed your own blood of your people, if you don't fulfill the first of those oaths, which is, do not worship anyone except for Allah. Right. That if you don't fulfill that core term of your oath, then you will be picking and choosing. So think about it when we were talking about the commands. Anybody remember the first command in Al-Baqarah for us? MashaAllah, be the abd of your Rabb. Second one?
Is don't knowingly make
Don't
rivals.
knowingly make rivals.
Partners.
That third one?
وبشر الذين آمنوا.
Give your knees to those who believe you're right. If I don't seek to fulfill that first one, which was the attitude, the consciousness, that whatever Allah Ta'ala tells me to do, then more than likely I will be picking and choosing what He tells me to do, based on ability, effort, motivation. See what I'm saying? Otherwise, if I really go with the attitude that I'm going to fulfill the first command, which is obey, surrender, lovingly, voluntarily, then there are going to be some things I'm going to do better than others, but I'm going to try to fulfill them all. Okay? And they will have various levels of success, but I will try to fulfill everything He tells me to do. Some things will be super easy, some things will be very hard, some things I will fail at, but I'll keep trying. Okay, heavy duty stuff, huh?
So, did we have a command here? Or
No.
No, we still haven't had the fourth command.
Fourth command comes in about 7 ayahs. Okay, I think let's stop here.
Okay.
Excuse me, because we have a lot of heavy stuff here. 87 has a lot of heavy stuff in it too, inshallah.
Can you explain the whole ransoming thing? I didn't really get that.
Yeah, it's. let me go back and look up the whole story again, but it probably won't make it any simpler.
Okay.
But okay, this is like not the best example, but in high school, there were those couples that would be having a baby, right? And then suddenly they become pious. They're like, oh no, we have to keep the baby and do this and that, right? Even though the starting situation was a haram situation, right? And so what very often happens in human nature is that you might do something haram, but then, you know, you start following other rules within it that, you know, within your practices, right? Kind of like to save yourself. That's what I was thinking when I see this on it. Okay. You see, kind of making sense of what I'm saying?
Can you go through the
Yeah, so it didn't make sense at all.
yeah.
Well, I
No,
just
that's,
kinda
I
relate
think,
it
that
to-
because that has the opposite logic of
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
This is saying you're starting with something bad and then you're following scripture which benefits you.
Okay?
You know, like, well, I have this right now, you know, to do this.
Okay, so so the story here is that these tribes started fighting each other, okay, which they weren't supposed to do. Then they started making alliances with each other against others among their tribes, other tribes of their own people, which they weren't supposed to do. Then, as part of the fighting, their people are being taken as prisoners, okay, but they weren't supposed to be in the fight in the first place. But now suddenly they're thinking, well, we are supposed to, according to our law, we're supposed to be ransoming these people off. So let's ransom them.
get money for them and then.
Yeah.
No, it's
Okay.
their people that they're paying for that have been captured.
Oh, okay.
So they're
They're
like not
changing?
benefiting, right?
So they're not benefiting.
Okay, so people.
Oh, you saw
A-
it as ransoming?
No, I
So-
saw
so
this as,
people-
they
I
are,
better look at the story because
Okay.
I always understood.
no, wait.
So people A are paying a ransom to get their people
Yes.
A back to them.
Yes.
Okay.
And the point is that they weren't even supposed to be having a fight in the first place.
I see.
But they're following the rules, even though a few months earlier they weren't. I never understood it this way, but
no, I
let me
mean,
look at the
it's,
history.
I mean, it says here,
So
they,
is the-
well, hang on, they came, okay, so when you capture a POW in battle, according to Judaic law, you have the right to ransom them back to their people and take that money. What I'm reading it here is they're making, think of this, okay, in Islamic law, when you're a soldier and you're fighting in jihad, whatever, you know, Islamically, you have a right to some of the war booty,
Sure.
what you get.
Right.
What he's saying is that you're waging offensive, illegal war, and then you're saying, well, I have a right to this booty now. You're invoking a right to benefit you, but you're denying your prohibition to wage an offensive war for profits.
I see.
Let me go find
You see?
the actual story, the historical narrative.
Could it be seen though that they were like feeling bad or something, and then they were saying, well, we did something wrong, so let's start following the rules now.
Meaning, I would say that's potentially part of it. Right. The key point being that they're picking and choosing what they're following. Like you're opening a liquor store and you decide to sell meat, you know, but the meat has to be Zabihah. Right? But you shouldn't be having a liquor store in the first place. Right?
But is that like a good? Like I don't know. Like, don't you like not like the scariest thing is you don't want to discourage anyone from being, you know, from taking them away from Islam. So at least, you know, they're trying something.
Sure, that would be nice.
Look, I don't know
That's
what
what-
the
that's
I don't know, I
the
mean,
best way.
no, I mean, I think
But
there's
this would
something
be the
value to be said.
self-analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sorry.
like
yeah.
I don't want everyone to tell anybody who's doing something. Like at least they're trying to be good, you know.
Oh, no doubt, right? You know, and then you can say, well, at least, you know, maybe you can switch from selling wine to selling grape juice or something, correct? You know, build on your goodness. But the point being that the logic that sometimes we do is we'll be doing haram, and then we'll do, well, this has to be completely pious, you know.
Isn't that like kind of that that issue? Isn't it kind of more about intention? Like you're picking and choosing like laws as it pleases you, not as
Sure.
like certain stuff is like intention. They're trying to do what is best, like as best as they can do it in terms of the liquor store.
If the issue is that they're trying to do what's best, in contrast to if they're trying to cash in, but then suddenly they become pious on other matters. And the question is, are you rejecting some ayahs and are you believing in some ayahs? That's the hard question to ask for why I'm doing that. Any other questions? I'll look up the backstory.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's stop here. Lots of very, very heavy questions for us to ask ourselves about the way we live our lives.
The entire Musa alayhi salam story is spread across many different surahs,
All
right?
across, yeah.
All across. Why do you think it was done that way?
I think it relates to events that are happening.
Oh, I see.
Right, even Yusuf alayhi salam, part of his story is not in Surah Yusuf, small parts, right? Because the key is not what is the story of Musa, that's not the key, is what are the lessons. Yeah. Any other questions or thoughts? Okay, so let's stop here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. And may Allah tell everybody well. And we'll continue inshallah. Next week is the Grand Maulid.
So, are we going to that, or are you going to
I
that?
think I am supposed to go.
All right.
I'll probably be late.
It's
Sunday.
4 to 7.
where is it again? Do you guys know where it is?
It's at the Woodridge Community Center, something.
Okay.
Is it the same place they had the Hajj program?
Yeah.
I think so.
It's where they used to have web, some years ago before.
So next week, no class, guys.
Okay, so no